you kept bribing them in adulthood also. You kept bribing them by sacrificing your personal life, sacrificing your financial investment, sacrificing your love life. Don't do that. You can get a healthy version of love without bribing and without sacrifice. Hey everyone, I hope everyone is doing good and taking good care of themselves. So today we are going to deep dive into a heartbreaking survival pattern many adult survivors still carry. The way children of narcissistic parents try and bribe their parents into not abandoning them or avoiding them. And if you have ever found yourself over giving or over performing or over sacrificing just to hold on to scraps of love, this lecture, this video is going to be for you. Yeah, so I mean, please do subscribe, like, share, and please share it with your friends so that we create more awareness and my video reaches more people. Yeah, and it helps. Your support is needed, so I need you guys to comment, like, and share. So yes, let's dive into this topic. The different ways children of narcissistic parents try and bribe their parent so that they are not abandoned or ignored. So let us understand why do children do such things when they are raised by narcissistic parent. Why do they bribe their parents? They are ready to do anything and everything just to get those scraps, those crumbs. The first reason, the first and the foremost and the most important reason why they do this is because of fear of abandonment. So in healthy families, children know their parents' love is unconditional, and no matter what I do, my mama is going to love me, my daddy is going to love me. I mean, they are going to be with me. Yeah, they can mess up. I mean, the children can mess up, express needs and still be loved. But in narcissistic homes, things are different. Love is transactional and conditional. I love you when you perform. That's what the narcissistic parent tells you with their action and treatment and behavior. I love you when you perform. I love you when you obey. I love you when you reflect me perfectly like a good parent. Yeah. Otherwise, I'll ignore you. Otherwise, I'll abandon you. Yeah. And if you fail to meet any of these conditions, of course, you know what happens. You will be ignored, shamed, emotionally abandoned. Yeah. And this constant threat actually wires a child's nervous system to believe, if I don't earn love, I will be left to die. Yeah, and as Gabor Mate says, children would rather be wrong than be abandoned. Yeah, so they bribe with money, with anything and everything. And above all, they bribe their narcissistic parent, with pieces of themselves. They break, cut pieces of themselves, of their identity, and they give it. They sacrifice themselves and then they offer it as an offering to their narcissistic parent so that the narcissistic parent doesn't abandon me, doesn't ignore me, doesn't neglect me, doesn't leave me. Yeah. Now, there are different ways children bribe their narcissistic parent. I mean, the reason why they bribe is, of course, fear of abandonment. No child wants that. Yeah, that is the reason. Now, what are the different ways these children bribe their narcissistic parent? Let's break down the many ways children try to bribe narcissistic parents into staying connected. The first way is overachievement as a bribe. The child becomes the star. Perfect grades, by getting perfect grades, perfect looks, perfect behavior. And they believe, if I excel, I mean the child, they believe that if I excel, they will stay proud of me and won't reject me. Yeah, they will be connected with me. They will never abandon me or reject me. Yeah, but this perfectionism, to tell you honestly, comes at the cost of authenticity. So you can't be authentic and perfectionist at the same time. You have to let go of your authenticity. You have to sacrifice your authenticity in order to be a perfectionist, to please them, your narcissistic parent. The other way how these children, bribe their narcissistic parent, into staying connected is by becoming the parent's caretaker. The child takes on adult roles, emotionally soothing, fixing, or protecting the parent. They think that if I make them happy, they won't leave me. Yeah, this is again the effect of parentification, and it kills childhood innocence. You're not allowed to be a child, you're robbed of your childhood, and you are parentified, you're put into an adult role. Whereas you should have allowed to be a child, but you were not allowed. You were put into an adult role because you being a child was an inconvenience, because you were bred with a purpose. And that's the reason you were never allowed to be a child. So, the kid tries and becomes the parent's caretaker. The other way, how these kids, adult children, they bribe their parent into staying connected is by agreeing with parents' false reality. The child learns to mirror the parent's opinion even when they are wrong. Yeah, they silence their own truth in order to avoid conflict. Yeah, the bribe here is compliance. If I never challenge them, they'll keep me close, or I'll be close to them. If I challenge, question, they might leave me. The other way how these kids bribe their parents into staying close to them is by suppressing needs and emotions. So they hide sadness, anger, or vulnerability, because expressing needs, led to rejection. Their unspoken bargain is, if I need nothing, they won't push me away. If I need something, they might hate me and might push me away. So the best thing is suppress my needs and emotions. Suffer in silence, put all of these things aside. I don't need it because I need them. The other way how these children, bribe their narcissistic parents into staying connected with them is by, sacrificing their own relationships. Yeah, and this one is devastating. So many children, especially sons of narcissistic mothers, will sabotage, friendship or romantic relationship to prove loyalty. See, mom, I chose you over them. Now don't abandon me in return. Don't leave me. I left my wife. I left my girlfriend and children. I left my husband. I left my this, that. I left my friends. I have quit from my job. Now please don't leave me. So these, individuals who are raised by narcissistic parents, they tend to sacrifice their own relationship, their love, healthy love relationship, healthy marriage. They tend to sacrifice because they don't want the parent to leave them. The other way how these, adult children bribe their parent into staying connected is by, offering their own body or boundaries. So in some cases, the bribe becomes physical also. They allow inappropriate touch, tolerate boundary violation, or accept, sexualized comments. Anything to keep the parent's approval, anything to keep the parent in the life. Yeah, I'll do anything, whatever it takes to keep them in my life. Yeah, I'll offer my own body. Yeah, and to tell you honestly, this isn't consent. This is pure survival. Yeah, these children, they are ready to go to any extent solely to keep their parents, connected to them. They are ready to offer anything in return just to, keep that, toxic, dysfunctional, abusive relationship. Yeah. And the last way how these children, adult children of narcissistic parents, they bribe their parents into staying connected is by becoming invisible. So some children, bribe with absence. If I disappear, I won't cause trouble. They'll have no reason to reject me. So they stay small. They stay unnoticed, hoping to avoid, the parents' wrath and coldness. Yeah. So, as kids, we don't want to lose our parent. That's our default setting. As kids, we don't want to lose them. So we are ready to do anything and everything. Even if it is, horrible things, we are ready to do. Even if it's painful thing, we are ready to do. And the goal is to keep them close. But we need to understand they are not healthy parent. We can put in effort to keep a healthy parent close, not a toxic parent. Yeah, toxic parent is going to require a lot of sacrifice. Healthy parents don't require any sacrifice. Toxic relationship requires sacrifice. That's the hallmark, of every toxic relationship. It requires sacrifice. Toxic devotion requires sacrifice. Anything and everything toxic requires sacrifice, blind obedience. So you are sacrificing yourself, to hold on to a toxic relationship, which is in a way eroding you. But again, familiar hell is better than unfamiliar heaven. Mama is better than no mama. Daddy is better than no daddy. Yeah, I can't stay alone. I have a family. I have a mother and father, and me not being with them, horrible. That's something which I cannot fathom. I cannot imagine. Now, when you are raised by narcissistic parents and when you are into this habit of bribing, I mean, into keeping your parent, in connection, you are into bribing them since childhood. That's the way how you survive. In adult life, you pay, for this habit with a heavy cost. There's a heavy cost involved, that you pay because of this habit that you developed in order to survive that family, in order to survive your relationship with a narcissistic parent. As adults, such survivors may, overgive in relationship, fearing abandonment. Let me pour more and more and more so that my wife doesn't leave, my husband doesn't leave. That is also there, that we get to see with these survivors, who have been into bribing their narcissistic parents into staying connected and being with them. They tend to overgive in relationship. They stay, with toxic partners because they were used to earning love. Yeah, they want to, stay in toxic relationship because that's the model they grew up, believing to be the only one. Yeah, this is the way. I need to earn love. I need to win love and this and that, and nothing healthy. So they get into toxic relationship and they hold on to toxic people also. The other, thing that we get to see with these adults, I mean, uh, survivors of narcissistic families, they tend to silence themselves at work in order to avoid rejection. So if anything happens at work, some disagreement, conflict, they don't get into resolving the conflict. They just silence themselves and let things flow. They don't engage because they are scared. What if they'll be thrown out? What if they are rejected? So, you grow up with a lot of, negative beliefs. Yeah. And the credit goes to the narcissistic parent. They put you in a mode, that made you just a survivor and not someone who thrives. Yeah. These individuals, in their adulthood, all that childhood was all about bribing. Teenage, adulthood also, they are into bribing their parents into staying. And because of that, these adults in their adulthood, they experience burnout in every aspect of their life, and that is because of constantly overperforming. They experience burnout because they're just doing. If they don't, they'll be abandoned. I'll be alone. So that is also there. These folks, they experience a lot of, burnout in their work, in their relationship. So, all this bribing thing that we learn in the childhood to keep our parents close, to, avoid their wrath and fury, all these things that we learn and we develop to keep them close, actually, haunts us in our adulthood also. So in adulthood, we face a lot of problem because of all that bribing habits, that we engage in solely to keep our narcissistic parents, from abandoning us or from disconnecting, with us. Now, these patterns, aren't just habits. They are trauma scripts, that started in the childhood. What you're doing in your adulthood, the things that you're experiencing and facing because of such a childhood, It is all, in the childhood. All of these trauma scripts, they did not, develop and start in your adult life. All of it started in the childhood. Yeah. And let me tell you, the painful truth. No matter how much you bribe your narcissistic parent, it was never enough, because their love was never unconditional to begin with. So no matter how much you pour in, they'll forever be empty. Yeah, because their love was never unconditional, it was conditional. Yeah, and conditional is when you meet the criteria, and I'll keep changing the criteria, I'll keep shifting the goalpost. Yeah, so you keep running, and that's it, and you keep doing more and more and more, and I in the end devour you. A narcissistic parent devours the child. They literally eat the child, and the child is not left you know to survive all by themselves. The child is handicapped by the narcissistic parent, and this is how they feel good. They feel in control. This is my product, I can do anything, I can get away saying that's mama's love, that's daddy's love, that's tough love bullshit and all of that crap. Now, how do we break the bribery cycle? So you need to understand, healing starts with seeing the pattern, for what it is. What was all that? You bribing your parent. It was basically a survival mechanism. You were a child trying to stay alive. You were not manipulative. You were not weak. You were brave, doing whatever it took to keep the connection. So never feel ashamed that I was stupid. No, you did everything to survive. You did everything to, keep the connection, to survive that family, to survive that relationship. And now, in your adulthood, you are still not that child. You're no more that child. You no longer need to bribe for love. You can easily get love, a better version of love. So don't, keep bribing people to stay in your life. Just the way how you keep bribing your narcissistic parents since childhood, and in your adult life, pouring money, leaving relationship, doing this, doing that, just to keep them in your relationship, just to keep them in your life. Don't do that. You can get healthy love. So don't, bribe, anyone. Just because you were bribing your parents into staying in relationship, into staying in connection, in order to survive that family, you kept bribing them. In adulthood also, you kept bribing them by sacrificing your personal life, sacrificing your, financial investment, sacrificing your, love life. Don't do that. You can get a healthy version of love without bribing and without sacrificing. So love doesn't require sacrifice and bribe, please understand. Yeah, whatever you did, you were just, somehow surviving that relationship, and somehow, you know maintaining that connection. But once you're adult, you don't need to put in extra effort. You don't need to do all that labor yourself. Others need to do as well. Your partner can do it as well, your kids can do it as well. Yeah, in a healthy relationship, everybody does their bit. It's not your duty to shapeshift, to downgrade, to be a small person, and keep the relationship going. Overdoing, paying money, buying their love, don't do that. You need to understand that love is something that doesn't need to be earned. It's not a competition. It's love. It happens. It grows. You don't have to earn love. That's business. That's transaction. Yeah. And you also need to learn that setting boundary is not a bad thing. You will not be abandoned for setting boundary. Yeah. So you can set boundaries without fearing abandonment. It's absolutely okay. I can't do this. This is my limit. I will not engage into this. And still you'll have connection. You will have, if you have healthy people around you. Toxic people are going to run away when you use boundary. Yeah, magic happens when you use boundary, when you say no, ask questions, resist, and don't, put up with that bullshit. They run away, they discard you, or they abandon you. But healthy individuals will be there. So you can use boundary without fearing abandonment. And you need to understand, you need to choose any connection or relationship where you can exist freely without performing. If you don't perform, you still exist. Sometimes I don't perform, but I still exist in my husband's life. I'm there. He loves me. If he doesn't perform, I do it, and I still love him and he still loves me. So love is not about performance. Yeah, love is about love. Yeah, it grows with time, and it's not just linked to performance and deliverables and things that you get out of it. Then that is not love, that is transaction. So yes, this was it. In case if I have missed some of the ways how kids they bribe their parent into staying connected, you can always comment below. I tried covering a lot of them, but maybe I might have missed some. So I mean, you can comment below, because then it'll be good. I mean, people will see different other ways how they survived their childhood with their narcissistic parent, and the kind of things they did to keep the connection. Yeah, so yes, this was it. Please take care of yourself. Lots of love and blessings to all of you. Bye.